Okay, so it's now 4:15. So, by the way, do we have any guests? Just Rachel for me to, okay, very good. All right. So I'd like to call the meeting, the special meeting of the St. Joseph County Public Library Board to order. And first, I'm going to go ahead and call the roll. I guess we'll go back to the top of the agenda this time. So and we'll come back that way. So and then if you can, when you indicate that you're present, if you can just indicate that you've received the materials for the meeting, that'd be great. So Anne.
I've received the materials, yes.
Terry?
Yes, I have them.
Christine?
Yes, I have.
Augie?
Yes, and I have them.
Okay, Michelle?
Yes, and I have them.
Okay, and Marvin is not joined us yet, so hopefully he'll join us later. And I did receive the materials as well. So let me first just indicate that we do have a quorum. And now, like I indicated a little while ago, I'd like just I think we should pause here at the beginning of our meeting and just have a minute or so of just reflection, silent, just to think about the events of the last week and just give it our thoughts in a moment of silent meditation. Thank you. I'll note just for the next order of business on our agenda is the report of special library board committees. And I'd just like to note for purposes of our minutes that there were no special library board committee meetings held since our last meeting, so there are no special reports. And there's one item of unfinished business that I'm aware of, and that relates to recommendation of bid awards, additional bid awards for the main library renovation. And you'll all recall that on Friday, May 8th, sealed bids were publicly opened at the St. Joseph County Public Library for the main library, addition and renovation bid group 6 trades. And there were 6 separate bid group categories within this trades group. And we have recommendations before us this afternoon for three categories within this group. And bid groups, and then I think 2 additional categories are still under review, and we should be receiving recommendations for those later. So, so based on the view of these results, Bewley and Andrews has recommendations for us this afternoon for landscaping, which is 6B, for security 6D, and for the audio video package 6E. So before we make a motion and everything, maybe it's appropriate for just to get a report from Bewley and Andrews on these 3 categories. So who's going to make that? Is that
you, Glenn, or Antonia, who's going to report?
I'll make the report on that. Okay. Allow me to share my screen just for a couple of minutes.
Sure.
Okay, so I appreciate you did the hard part for me. The recommendations that we have, again, is for landscaping, security, and audiovisual. We are going to be going with, if you're seeing my screen, the landscaping option. We have reviewed and qualified all of the bidders based off of our scope sheets and based off of the contract documents. So for FOLEG, we had no changes to the base bid, and that applied to security as well. When we were going through the review, we noted that they weren't picking up a couple of our allowances, so there is a minor adjustment for our recommendation amount. Where they had included the taxes, they didn't pick up our allowance, and then there was a question when it came to the wiring based off of our contract documents. So the change that we have is from 224,109, and the recommended amount that we have right now is for 242,191.
Let me ask you, okay, that's for, that's TPC Technologies for audiovisual then?
Yes.
Okay, very good.
For the, to address your previous comments for the remaining 2 bids that we have out there for millwork, we have reviewed the scope review for Larson Danielson and for Zolkowski. We have a couple of questions that we have for them, but we should be able to get that one on the scheduled June board meeting. And then for the asphalt, because it is under the 150, we were going to reissue those out for bid to 3 competitive bidders in order to see if we can get a better amount than what we have shown right now.
Okay. So with respect to 6B landscape, you're recommending Fagley, and that's at the 659,950.
Yeah.
And for securities, Herman and Getz for the 144. No, I guess it's the, I guess the total is 216,550 for both.
That is correct.
Okay, got it. Okay. All right. So maybe first, before we go ahead and do motions, let me just ask: is there any? Are there any questions by any board members of our project manager with respect to these 3 recommendations this afternoon for landscaping, security, and audiovisual?
I have one question.
Sure.
My question is, with the 2 that are still out and decisions need to be made, will that in any way impede or slow down the progress of the project?
Thank you for asking that question. For millwork, the millwork is a finished item. We would like to get information when it comes to blocking for our rough carpentry, but that is not going to stop our work. And then for asphalt is another one that is more of a finished item. We have that scheduled for later in the year of 2021.
I have a question regarding the security. What's included in that?
The security includes all access doors and ADA door hardware. And then we do have a minor adjustment that we will discuss a little bit later for cameras, because we do have wiring to cameras, and Herman and Getz did pick up costs for cameras themselves. So we were going to be comparing the that dollar that Deb has, and we were going to compare that to what we have and see which one would be the better option to go with.
Okay, thank you.
Barry, just to clarify, the cameras were something that we were going to cover under furnishings and equipment, so loose equipment. And as Antonia mentioned, the bidder picked it up. So whether we leave it in the bid package and let them do it, or whether we purchase outright, we'll determine that depending on the price.
Okay. Are there further questions? If not, let's just do these. I think with what we've been doing these separately. So first, is there a motion to award bid group 6B landscape to Fagley in accordance with their proposal?
So moved.
Second,
Okay, motion made by Michelle, seconded by Christine. Is there any further discussion with respect to that? If not, let's just call the roll. Ann?
Aye.
Terry? Terry?
Aye.
Christine?
aye.
Augie?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
And I haven't seen Marvin yet, so I vote aye, so that passes. So second, is there a motion to award bid group 6D security to Herman and Getz?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Terry, seconded, I'm not sure who seconded, but
And
Ann seconded it. Any discussion? If appearing to be none, let's go ahead and take a roll. Ann,
aye.
Terry,
Aye.
Christine,
Forgot to unmute. Aye.
Augie,
Aye.
Michelle,
Aye.
and Marvin, that's not you that came on, is it? No, then I'll vote aye. And finally,
Hey, Alan, point
yes.
of order. Did we skip the elevator one?
no, I'm going to do that.
Oh, okay.
Wait a minute, elevator or?
The elevator was awarded
Last time.
last.
Yeah, we did that. We did that. at
Oh,
our-
okay.
We did that to Schindler.
That's correct.
And the last one we have to do today, I believe, is, well, is there a motion to award bid group 6E audio visual
So moved.
to TPC Technologies? And I'll just note, because that is different than this information we got before, I just pointed out today, the total package for that is $242,191. That's up from the $224,109.22 that was originally bid, but with your clarifications, that has gone up to $242,191.
So moved.
Motion was made by Augie.
Mhm.
Augie, second
Second.
by Michelle. Is there any discussion? If not, Ann,
Aye.
Terry,
Aye.
Christine,
Aye.
Augie,
Aye.
Michelle,
Aye.
and I'll vote aye as well.
Just a note, I've worked with TPC in other places. They're a really good firm.
Great.
Good to hear.
That's helpful because I don't think we've ever worked with them. I think, has Willie and Andrews, Glenn?
No, we have not.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Augie.
So I believe that concludes the bid awards. And then again, as was noted, we are anticipating then that hopefully at our meeting later in the month, we'll have a recommendation with respect to 6A millwork. And then it sounds like what they're going to do is they're going to reissue bids for the asphalt. So we're waiting here on that one. So I think that concludes our unfinished business. And I don't believe we have any, well, I think I know we did notice out any new business. So there really can be no other new business to come before us. And there's no other business that's appropriate for this special meeting. So the only other thing here would be a hearing of visitors. And I believe there are no visitors, but let's just go ahead for purposes of the agenda and the minutes. Are there any members of the public that would like to address the board?
I have a question. This unknown phone at the bottom, do we know who
Yoga.
that is? Do we know who that is?
I think it's Trish Coleman,
Oh, okay.
isn't it? I think it is.
We've been debating that as well. It's a familiar number, but I can't place it. And I think Trish was at the variance hearing.
So yeah, the telephone number 360-4737. Can you unmute and just identify yourself?
Oh, that is Trish's number, actually.
I think it's Trish. Trish was at the variance hearing with Jeff Engelmeyer this afternoon for the variance for this project, and she just texted that the variance was approved. So that's good news. But that's who that is. So she's
okay. So maybe she just got it. Maybe
she's coming in by phone and not on a computer.
Okay, so we don't have one of the infamous hackers out there going to
No.
put
Think so.
Zoom bomber.
Yeah.
So then, if there's nothing else, then under hearing of visitors, and with Terry, we probably should have had you identify yourself and your address and your telephone number and everything, since you wanted to speak under visitors. But no, but in any event, so under news and education item, Jenny, you've got a report for us. If you want to go ahead.
Yes.
Anxiously waiting.
I'm going to share my screen because I'm going to give you all a demonstration of Bendable. And whether you've been on it or not, hopefully you'll take some time in the near future and check it out, because it has come together after many years of work, and we are beyond proud of it. So can everyone see that all right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. All right, so also, since you know, because of the Tribune insert, people across our city are now encountering Bendable for the first time. And some of them are seeing it on the library website or in an email or in the Tribune. There's also commercials running on WNDU. So there's a lot of ways that people will first learn about our new online learning system. And so when you first go on to Bendable, it's bendable.com, you'll notice a question that says, what do you want to learn? And that leads you into exploring the platform deeper. Without even logging in, you can explore the many resources that Bendable has to offer. And what's really cool, last time I did this demo, it was still a lot of fake data. So now it's actually a living, breathing platform. So you see what South Bend knows, and these are community collections. Some of them have been compiled relatively recently. This one by Heidi Beidinger-Burnett is on the COVID pandemic. And then you also, if you scroll down further, you see some of the learning resources from our national partners. But if I click see more, you can also see some from our local partners. So La Casa Citizenship class is in here. There's some information about COVID for people, and then staff picks and more clicks. And this is where library book lists like Racism in America is being housed, as well as some of our events. And eventually, when we start doing in-person events more, this will be a place to highlight the many things that the library is doing. There are over 1,000 learning resources or possibilities in Bendable. So now that we've seen the homepage, let's take a second to log in. And when you log in, you'll create an account the first time you do it, and you can use your library card. But if you don't have a library card, which I hope everyone here does, that lives locally, then you will get a chance to log in for a temporary 30-day period. Oh, actually, I got an award. Exciting. So there's little motivational pieces of the site to keep people learning and inspired. So if you don't have a library card, you log on and you have a free 30-day trial, at which point we will hopefully guide you to getting a library card, which will open up a whole other range of learning resources available for you. But you don't need, most of the content on this site is free to pretty much anyone. And a library card just unlocks some of the class seats that you can take in order to get credit for classes and things like that. So once you're on, you'll notice that the homepage has changed. So right now it says what we recommend for you. And this is because it takes into account some of the things that I've looked at in the past, things that I've bookmarked, or preferences that I've set. So the first thing that you're going to want to do when you log on is go to My Stuff and set your preferences. And this is a way to tell Bendable what and how you like to learn, because we all know that everyone learns in different ways and prefers different learning styles. So some of the things I've selected are improve my everyday life, better understand technology, sharpen my work skills, but also there are some options for how you like to learn. So I like to learn online, and I like to learn in bite-sized chunks, because trying to learn with a 4-year-old running around is very difficult. So it gives you all these opportunities, and then it tailors what you're going to see on Bendable to what your different preferences are. Another thing that you'll find in my stuff is bookmarks. And this is where, as you're going through, you get busy and you find something that you're interested in, but you don't have time to explore it fully in the moment. So you can go ahead and bookmark different items, and you'll be able to find them later. So I have a whole bunch of items that are bookmarked for later. And then also I told you that we like to keep people inspired by their learning, so you can see what you've started, what you're in progress, things that you're finished. So I haven't finished anything yet. And then your gallery. And this is where you earn different badges, which represent, your progress through the system. And this, my gallery is also important for another reason, which we'll get to in a second. But if I want to dig deeper into Bendable, I go to Explore, which is up in the top menu. And what you can either do is there's some collections that are already curated here. And these are resources that have about COVID-19, improving your everyday life. But you can also search. So let's see, you can see some of the things that I've searched for. We'll go for kids. There's Matt, that's my husband. So they have different resources so this one's living safely in an old home, especially with children, internet safety for kids, financial literacy for kids, and they're a combination of national and local partnerships that present these learning resources. So you can go on and explore a whole range of things. Sometimes they might be skills you want to build, or passions, or hobbies. It really has a very broad arrangement of different learning resources. All right, but we're going to go back to Explore, and we're going to dig into this. Let's see, where is it? Learn about better understand technology. And this has some resources in here. I'll start with Alex, State, and I. This is a community collection, and these are the heart and soul of Bendable. These are actual people, local experts, or local neighbors who know something about something and want to share how they know this information with their community. So Alex is the co-founder of the Code School in South Bend, and she created a collection for us with different resources for how to get started with coding. So of course, Code School's on there, but then there's information about the IT sector partnership, Technology Resource Center, Code Academy, code.org. And so far, I think we are up to 15 or 16 of these community collections. So we learned how to do this from IDEO, which was the design firm that we worked with in San Francisco. And slowly, we are learning how to do this sort of journalistic storytelling so that we can form relationships with our community, dig deeper, and find ways to showcase the knowledge that is in South Bend. So this is something that we're very excited about, because it's a way to connect with our community and democratize learning and really show off what South Bend has to share. But let's see. Also, if we go down in here, where is it? Actually, I'm going to go out, because there is another cornerstone of Bendable, and that is the career collection. So if we go into manufacturing, I want to learn about jobs in manufacturing. And this is the piece that speaks to workforce development, which, given the state of the world right now with unemployment rates being high, is I think a very valuable thing that we can contribute to our community. It will help resiliency, it will help people upskill in order to hopefully find better jobs or get promotions. So these are collections that are backed by local employers. So this Become a CNC Operator is backed by General Stamping and Metalworks. And you go through the collection, it has 3 sections: workplace skills, foundational skills, and then technical skills. And these are all classes that you take. I can tell you I've looked at this collection several times, and I do not know if I have what it takes to become a CNC operator, because some of these classes look fairly intense. But what you do is you go through finish all of these classes and courses, and then you'll get a badge. And that badge will show up in your progress. And what that means is that you have shown that you have developed some of the skills that are necessary to become a CNC operator. General Stamping and Metalworks has put the seal of approval on that. They've committed to acknowledging that that badge means something in the hiring process. And then other employers in the area will also see that you've earned a badge that was approved by General Stamping and Metalworks. So it doesn't guarantee that someone is going to get a job or an interview, but it is definitely a way to make progress, upskill, and get a leg up in the job searching process. So this one we're also really excited with. Drucker Institute is working. They're our partners on Bendable. They're working really hard to create more collections. And it's great because this Become a Materials Handler, which is not a library materials handler, but a forklift operator, I believe. So we're constantly developing new collections. So there's a few in here since the last time I was in Bendable. And the idea is that we will, as different industries or different jobs become more prominent in our area, we'll be able to create these collections so that we really can respond to what our community needs. All right, so I'm going to go into this Become a CNC operator. And I think the developing soft skills in the workplace is my starting point. And you'll see that it says let the learning begin. And one of the things that we've said over and over again is we're probably one of the only apps in the world that is happy when you leave. So what we want you to do is we want you to continue on to study.com or Penn Foster or La Casa or Ivy Tech or any of the national or local partners that we are working with. We have 18, and go on and learn something. And then hopefully you'll find your way back to Bendable so that you can learn something more. So that is the end of my demo. Hopefully I did it justice. So we've been working on this for so long that I find every time I have to talk about it, it's a little overwhelming because it's been 2.5 years in the making, and try to distill it into a 10-minute demo. I just hope I do it justice because it really is a powerful tool for the library. And we've had so many people, teachers from South Bend School Corporation, we've talked to people from Goodwill, and we find that every time we tell somebody about this, they start thinking of ways that they could kind of hack it or bend it to their own uses. So it's pretty exciting. Does anyone have any questions?
I have a bunch. I usually do. I'm a little unclear when it says take the course.
Mm-hmm.
These are already developed courses from somewhere that they've pulled in the links or whatever necessary. Are they, and so when it's local people, are those resources local too, or can they be anywhere?
We have both national and local partners. So with the national partners, it's all online learning. So you just go on and you take a course, like that study.com course is online. Our hope with Bendable was that it would combine online and in-person opportunities so that you would be able to go, and there are actually a few from VPA. So there's like VPA's yoga class, and that directs you to an in-person opportunity. But like the La Casa class was a Zoom, a digital class, that it would direct you to that so that you could join that class.
Okay, you answered question 2. So how are the local people chosen? Are they invited or are they volunteering? How are they, I don't know the term I want to use, but you want the people that you want.
Yeah, we actually have a nomination process. So IDEO kicked this all off. They designed the workflow for how you create these interviews. And they started with 9 collections, and we provided the nominations. So we, listed a bunch of people that we knew, like Alex Sade and I, who could contribute something to this. And then from there, every time I finish an interview, I ask that person, who do I need to talk to next? Because we're hoping, that we'll get deeper and deeper into the community, and that we'll both have a smattering of the people that know a lot of things, like Mayor Pete, that he knows a lot of stuff. But then we start finding those local leaders who everyone knows they know stuff, but it just they're not on TV. So we're trying to make sure that we're capturing a diverse array, a diverse array of different topics, but also of different people, so that we're covering different age groups, different education levels. We're just trying to cover everything. So if you have someone that I should talk to, please let me know.
Okay, well, fascinating. I think I will go online, take a class, and it will answer more of my questions.
Yeah.
Just as an aside, if that's a hummingbird feeder next to Augie, we're in trouble. Big, they're the biggest elephants out there, right?
It is. Anne, did you have a question?
I did. I'm trying to, I just came from another Zoom meeting with the schools, actually with the empowerment zone, and thinking about, well, I have two questions. One has to do with access of particularly low income people. But tied into that is, if, say, the schools wanted to get information to parents about, I mean, very current topic, about the different types of models of school once they reopen, so in-person, remote, and so on. They wanted to get that information out to parents and have some kind of discussion. I don't know, would that concept fit here? It's not really education about a topic, but it's a way to want to reach parents.
Yeah,
with information.
we did a brainstorming session, the Drucker Institute, and some library staff members with some teachers. And I have never seen a group of people get so excited. They had so many ideas for how they could utilize this for things like that. Like, how can we strengthen parent-teacher relationships?
Yeah, yes.
And there are, like, the product that you've seen is minimum viable. So this is not the end of the road. There are already, they're working on something called Bendable Buddies, or it'll be some iteration on that, where you actually can like cheer somebody on. So you're working towards a goal with someone and you can say, good job, you finished that math class. That was hard. You should take this, even harder class. And so there could be a way to morph that into a situation where teachers can create groups with students so that they could guide them to resources, or create a collection that was specifically for a community. So you could create a collection for your parents to show them all of the different resources that they might need to learn about the different school options. So there are actually, it's very flexible, and we're looking at ways that we can build it in the direction of some of these community-minded ideas. So especially working with the schools to figure out how this could be a tool for them it's pretty exciting. And they had so many ideas along those lines.
That's very exciting. I find this it's very interesting and it's like a whole lot of new kinds of opportunities. And what about access? I'm thinking for people, because we would want not only the presenters to be diverse, but the users to be diverse and to come up with things that they could share as well.
Yeah, so there's a few angles to that. The first is when IDEO was the team that did a lot of the design work for this, and they came to South Bend and they talked to 2,000 residents to find out what sort of, and this was before we went to many presentations on Bendable and we weren't even sure what it was or what it looked like.
I remember.
Yeah, so that was back when they were still trying to figure out what it was. Yeah. And this was the direction they went in. Because they knew that, most people have access to a smartphone. If that's your one device, you probably have that. So the idea is that it can be used on your laptop or your desktop, but also on your mobile device easily. And it's not an app through the App Store. It's just something that you open up on your browser. So it's the ease of access in that sense is high. And it was designed to be very user-friendly. So it is, the language that is used throughout the app was very intentionally chosen. So it's not full of jargon. It sort of guides you, like even in the Explore tab, it says what I want to learn, or there's some phrasing that helps you fill in the gap because some people don't know how to search for what they want to learn. So it sort of leads you in that direction. The other component is where the in-person opportunities someday in a post-COVID world will come into play, where the library will have physical locations where we can help people use Bendable. Goodwill is really strong in this component. Like they're going to have some of their computer areas will be very focused on Goodwill. La Casa will do the same, so that we're sending people to these locations where they can get guided help from librarians or from other community-minded organizations. So we're hoping that we're going to be able to cover most, a broad swath of our community. And I'm giving a long-winded answer. This is what I mean. There's like 2.5 years of knowledge crammed in my head.
No, it's great. And then, what was my other question? Oh, I missed, I don't know if I understood correctly. Do you have to have a library card to use it? Because you said something about using your library card to log in.
You do not have to have a library card in order to use. You can log on and you can explore with a temporary account, and that gives you full access to everything. After 30 days, your account will kind of downgrade a little bit to just be, you can see everything that's there, but you won't be able to log into any of those like study.com courses. And that's where and they've set up a system where it'll prompt you automatically at the end of 30 days, and it'll say a librarian will contact you or whatever mechanism we come up with a library card. So we're gonna make it as smooth and barrier-free as possible, that people can just transition from having this temporary account to having a library card.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
It sounds great.
Hopefully we'll have a whole bunch of new library users at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Part of that, Anne, we are tying it to the library card in a lot of ways, because all of these resources have a cost to them. And so we have a lot of interest from, say, Elkhart, who we do not serve at this point in time. So we want to sort of throttle it back so that we don't have people from the whole country coming in, because these are resources that, again, we're going to pay for, and either we are going to pay for or Drucker is going to pay for. We're not sure how this is all going to shake out. Right now, Drucker is covering the cost of the resources platform. But you can tell Jenny's excited. I think we're all really excited because we see that the potential is huge for this tool. And the other cool factor is nobody else in the world has it except us. So at least not right now.
On the cutting edge once again.
Well, they came to us, and I take no credit for this. It's my staff and Drucker and IDEO and Carbon 5. I said yes to a meeting and yes to how can we not be involved in a lifelong learning product. So that was the start of it, and they have really, we were not without our hiccups along the way. There were times when we were all ready to jettison the whole thing, but it's beautiful. It's beautiful, and it works, and I can see so many ways we can take this. And like Jenny said, we can marry this with our physical spaces when we get into the new building. It's just huge or it can be huge. We're going to be putting a lot of effort into this to build the collections and things, but
yeah, we actually we had a check-in meeting today, and the app officially launched on Friday, but they didn't start doing the big marketing push until Saturday. And we have, I think, almost 90 signups at this point, and it's about half split between people who have their library cards and then people who are new.
Mm-hmm. Well, I will say, I remember when they came to town with this idea, and it was so out there and fuzzy and la, and it just, so, I mean, I sort of was like, so I'm glad to hear that some people were open and that it's as good as it is. It's great.
Yeah.
Thank you. And if anyone has any other questions, you can always just ask any of us or shoot me an email, and I'm happy to talk about Bendable all day long.
Great. Okay. Any additional or any other questions for Jenny? Deb, that's the end of news and education items, am I correct?
that's the end of news and education items. I do want to mention when you get to next board meeting dates,
Yeah, exactly.
whether you're ready to think about the June 22nd meeting and whether you want to have that one in person or we can continue to do a Zoom. The emergency is still in place until July 4th, and we think it'll probably come off then and we'll need to meet in person, but we could still do a June meeting remotely if you'd like to do that.
I'm open to either way. It's fine with me either way. So maybe we should just Well, let's just say, are there folks that are board members that still would like to meet remotely, or are you all okay meeting at Keller Park in an isolated fashion on June 22nd? Anne's raising her hand. Go ahead, and you have to unmute.
I'm staying home as long as I can, so I would prefer that that would be my preference.
I prefer Zoom.
I'm good either way.
I'm flexible.
Well, if two members would like to do it, and if we can do it on Zoom, then let's go ahead. And Jim, am I correct that, well, first of all, I think, Jim, one of the things you pointed out was that if we're meeting via Zoom under this special order, then we can really only have special items or what we're supposed to be doing. And then, Deb, from your perspective, is there anything that you couldn't do under the auspices of the government if within the context of special meetings? Or, I mean, I assume the primary thing we're going to be doing, hopefully, is approving this additional bid. And are there other things that you'd like to try to take us to that we can't do under special?
I think we're going to have some other business to do, but as Jim said, it's essential business.
Essential.
But I basically think we don't ask the board to approve anything unless we consider it essential. The presentation was just information. We weren't asking you to act on it. So, you know, we wouldn't bring anything that we didn't really need to have done. There are a few things already, I think, on the cluster dissolution, which we're going to do at the end of the year. The other libraries we want to get that going. But again, I would consider that essential business at this point. So we're happy to do it any way you want. I will say the room at Keller Park is very large, and we can really distance there. And that's probably where we'll meet instead of moving around to the branches, because some of those branch meeting rooms are pretty tight. So,
you know, the other thing all right, so first of all, without objection, then we will meet via Zoom on our June 22nd meeting. Will be at 4:15 via the Zoom platform. Again, it'll be available at 4 o'clock to come on, and we'll do that like we've done before. And then but we should all plan July 27th to meet at Keller Park, probably in the big room. And then, Deb, I'm not sure if it's necessary. I mean, if it's a pretty day, we could also, you know, meet outside potentially too, if people wanted to. If people felt more comfortable doing that. Again, obviously if the weather's not cooperating, we'll have to be inside. But, you know, if it's a pretty day and if we've got a place there that's appropriate, if people feel better being outside, we could potentially do that as well. But let's not go there. That's getting the cart before the horse. But I'll just ask
Alan,
to think about that.
Is there such a thing as a hybrid? In other words, at some point, a person or two says, "I'm just not ready to be out," and they could come in through Zoom. Others meeting in person, but would that put them in the same position I'm in Arizona, where their vote can't be taken?
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless the legislature changes the library statute.
Yeah, we'd need to have 4 people present for a vote, so you'd have to have a quorum in person to get anything done. I do believe the legislature, and certainly because I know the state library is considering a whole bunch of different changes because of COVID in their state standards, and I can't help but think the state of Indiana is going to sort of follow suit, but it just remains to see what they do and how everything progresses. So
if I hear correctly, if a person really did not want to attend in person, but everyone, you know, was to the point they did, that person could participate via Zoom but not vote. Is that kind of what? Okay.
Yes.
All right.
And if that's the situation, obviously, you know, I mean,
we'd have to have the 4 quorum. Yeah.
The reason we post the variance hearing is today, and it was originally scheduled, I think, in March, if I remember right. That hearing by law had to be in person, and so they'd postponed it for 3 months until the governor lifted some of the restrictions so they could meet in person. So it was today.
Yeah.
And they held it at Howard Park because there's more space there rather than holding at the County City Building.
Yeah. So let's see where things are. And we can always come, you can be inside and we'll come to your backyard.
Through the window.
No, just kidding. We do that. No, it's all good. Anyway, no, all right, so this is great. No, I think this works out. So June 22nd will be Zoom, July 27th. We're planning on being at Keller Park, but we'll see how things are going, you know, and if we have to do something else, we'll deal with it. That's not a problem. All right, so is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Okay, all those, well, here, I guess we should do the roll call. Ann,
Aye.
Terry,
Aye.
see, Christine had to get off for another meeting. Augie?
Augie also left. He had another meeting.
Michelle?
Aye.
And I'm voting aye. So we are adjourned.
All right.